Hello my friends and welcome. This is the update on Maduro or Venezuela case. So Maduro himself was delivered to the local federal court. He is being escorted by DEA and police and will be prosecuted. He already has a lawyer defense, and that is how it should be in a democratic countries, and the United States of America is one of those. Yes, even with Donald Trump, that country is not a full dictatorship. Donald Trump just likes dictators and he wanna be dictator, but institutions continue to work, and even those outrageous dictators as Maduro, they should have defense. Well, sometimes the defense is not being provided, like for example for those drug traffickers, they're just being captured by United States Army. That's the violation of the international law, that's the war crime. Well, at least in case of Maduro, he was not flatlined and was delivered to the court, and he will receive, I guess, many years in prison. Deserved years in prison, because again Maduro is a dictator, outrageous one, and he is also a close ally of the Russian Federation. So what happened to him personally, I support that, of course. Yes, it is also a violation of the international law that one country goes and takes the leader out from the sovereign country, and Venezuela is the sovereign one, but it's been controlled by a dictator who wanted to even attack a neighboring country, Guyana, and occupy most part of it. So what is better? So if those dictators, they violate international laws and democratic countries continue to follow the international laws, well, it means that dictators will prevail. If they also follow the international law, well, I would be the first one who would call, oh, America should follow every step, every law, but the destiny of America is to become a policeman. Yeah, without it, all of those dictators, they would have been more aggressive, but they understand that there could be the moment, if they're too harsh, even towards their own people, well, Delta Force may land and take them out, alive or not alive. And now, judging on what is happening in Iran, I think Ayatollah Khamenei is pretty much concerned about his personal destiny. He has the example of Bashar Assad, who exited the country and now plays video games, and also he has an example of Maduro. So I'm 100% sure that he is looking for better for him scenario, which is obviously a retreat from the country to spend the rest time of his life in a peaceful Moscow city tower, in apartment, maybe multi-story apartment with lots of the video games, as we understand. Also, his relatives might follow him. I'm also sure that Putin is surprised about Maduro. He is also concerned. Well, Russia has nuclear weapons. I don't believe that United States would just take out Putin as they did with Maduro, and there is a personal connection between Donald Trump and Putin. That's the downside of Donald Trump, because, you know, I am for America to be this global influential force in our entire world, because after all, United States is democracy. We're very lucky that it's not China, it's not Russia that is the world policeman. That's why I'm concerned that the United States start to withdraw the forces from European allies, from NATO members, that it's like the invitation for the Russia to attack. And also I'm quite concerned about this one. Let me show you.
Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
Yeah, so Denmark is weak and we're gonna take Greenland because, you know, Arctics, some natural resources, rare earth minerals, trade routes and perspective, you know, to take the vast part of Arctics by United States. So I'm sure that United States, they will maybe even deploy their military. Well, they have the military base in Greenland, but they might take that part of Denmark entirely and connect it somehow to the United States of America. And that is unprecedented, of course, because Greenland belongs to ally of the United States of America, Denmark, and I see how European leaders react on that. They don't know what to say. because the United States used to protect democracy against dictatorship, but now even democratic countries could be the target for Donald Trump's ambitions. That is what I don't like about Donald Trump. So the policeman is good, but only against Russian allies or dictators whatsoever. They're the same, dictators and Russian allies, yeah. In particular with Venezuela special military operation, I'm pretty much okay, and it looks like everything goes according to a best variant for now possible, because the vice president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, who was sworn to lead the country now by the time there is the crisis there, has invited the United States government to work on cooperation program with Venezuela. You see, so before there was a harsh rhetoric from her. She called United States a Zionism regime or something like that, but now she dropped it completely. She says that Venezuela reaffirms its commitment to peace and peaceful coexistence with the United States. Our country strives to live without external threats and blah blah blah, but in general she is completely different now. Well, maybe because Americans, they also changed their rhetorics towards her personally. Initially Marco Rubio said that they gonna try to cooperate with her. If she is opposing that, well, it means that they're gonna push her too, and she might follow the destiny of Maduro, and even harder or harsher, as Donald Trump mentioned. And the thing that I don't like about Donald Trump, that for him those dictators, they're also okay if they follow his personal interests. For example, Venezuela's Maduro's regime is still existing without Maduro. Maduro was just one guy there, yeah, the main one, but regime is pretty much functional without him. And because the United States, they don't want to deploy troops on the ground, maybe they want to save the current regime, but force it to cooperate with the oil companies of the United States of America. Well, it's a good thing and also the bad one. Well, the good thing here that in case Venezuela's regime agrees on cooperation with the United States oil companies, in that case, there is no need for United States Army to go to Venezuela, so life losses could be easily avoided in that case. But the thing is that the Venezuelans will have the same Maduro's regime just without Maduro. Maduro will have his several decades in prison, and Maduro's regime will continue to rule Venezuela, because actually it's not Maduro's regime initially, it's Hugo Chavez's regime, and all of the officials, they're still out there on their positions since Hugo Chavez's times. Well, overall I see more positives than negatives. First of all, because of Russia, Iran, other dictators, they will see what might happen. And the United States Army, it's not a fluffy one. It's not a Russian army. You see special forces, especially Delta Force. It's crazy what they've done. It's the unique operation. They're so capable. I just hope that they'll be used only against dictators. No Greenland, please, because it's gonna be the same as Russia does. So, but something tells me that Donald Trump will occupy Greenland, unfortunately, guys, simply because Greenland is weak. There are just 50 with something thousand people. It's less than in my small city of Borispol, where I used to live before the war erupted in Ukraine. But it's will be unprecedented case, yeah? Because before America didn't do it against own allies, there should be some sort of the compromise. Donald Trump, maybe he understands that, that's why he's still waiting for some of the diplomatic solution around Greenland. But I don't like those talks about Greenland. Plus, Donald Trump also threatens other countries like Mexico. Mexico, yeah, it has the problems with cartels, with drugs and so on. But it's not an autocracy. It's a democratic country overall. Judging on Mexican corruption level and everything, I would compare it to Ukraine, yeah, more or less. Ukraine just without drugs and Mexico with drugs. Ukraine with drugs is Mexico, a little bigger, yeah. Also, Trump threatened Cuba and Colombia. Not the countries, but of course governments. It's only governments they're concerned about. They always say that they're quite okay with people. Yeah, official rhetorics. But I see that also United States, they published on their official accounts the threats for Iran in Iranian it's written here, don't play games with us. And to Russia, I'm surprised, guys, it's in Russian. Не играйте в игры с президентом Трампом. So don't play the games with Donald Trump. Not with Donald Trump especially, yeah. It's a good threat. It's a good threat, guys, towards Russians. Maybe Donald Trump is a little bit disappointed because of the Putin's lies. Then Donald Trump was asked yesterday by journalists on board of Air Force One about the fake Ukrainian attack on Valdai, Putin's residency. He stated that he doesn't believe Putin with that, because United States intelligence, they uncovered that all of that was a fake information shared by Russians just to blackmail Ukrainian president, because Russians thought that there was some sort of the negotiation or security guarantee agreed between Donald Trump and Zelensky. So right after meeting, they played this hoax, and Donald Trump, he's angry on Putin about it. It's already personal. I think Putin, with this hoax, he outplayed himself. It is a very, very bad move from him. I think he should have avoided that, because basically the meeting between Donald Trump and Zelensky, it led to nothing. But now the result of the meeting is the fact that Putin is telling lies. He tries to manipulate with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, personally, he doesn't like that stuff. Of course, it's a good thing that Russia is playing itself as a fool. It's fantastic. All the latest news we have from Venezuela, they announced a mobilization and also emergency situation, and they're changing the production to put economy to the war rails. It's not a good sign, actually, guys. Yeah, the goal of those measures is to establish a strong control over the oil infrastructure. Yeah. Of course, by capturing Maduro, Donald Trump didn't capture Venezuela. For that, he needs to deploy army. I believe he will not deploy that because it's an unpopular move. But Venezuela, you see, the Maduro's regime or Hugo Chavez's regime is still out there. And the thing that Americans are now trying to negotiate with that regime. It could be negative, yes, because the regime would stay there in case of the successful negotiations. But the good thing about it, that it will not create the vacuum of power, as it was in Iraq, for example. Then Saddam Hussein, hooray, we got rid of Saddam Hussein, you're free, everything is great. And what happened next? ISIS happened in Iraq, in Syria, Libya. Also, it's crazy what happened there. So after every sort of the dictator change, there is a pure chaos appears. The United States may conquer countries like that. They have a very powerful army. Of course, the best and the biggest army in the world. For them, it's not a problem to get rid of any sort of the dictator. But what is next? It's always a problem for USA. In Afghanistan, it was also a problem. The American democracy in Afghanistan, but it's not possible. People live differently there. And Taliban was or became popular once again, and Americans had to retreat. So maybe the policy in keeping Maduro's regime at least partially, and maybe later on to democratize it, can I use this term that I just made up in my head? You know, maybe to make this transition more or less smooth. Maybe that's the variant to go. How do you think, guys? Write me in the comment section below. But I'm afraid of Iraq scenario, for Venezuela, of course, because even by putting the boots on the ground there massively with full intervention of the forces, it might create one more destabilized point in our world easily. You might get rid of Maduro, get rid of his circle, current vice president, whatsoever, but it will create a huge power vacuum. And as we know, there are also cartels in Venezuela that will spark also civil war, clan war between those cartels and so on, and try to control everything of that. Well, we'll see in the coming days what it could happen. For now, United States, they're not controlling Venezuela. It's understandable. Maduro's regime is there. Dictatorship, still. Maduro was captured. There was the video of him congratulating us with the new year. But what might happen next? Well, after all, I think Marco Rubio, he has experience, and from entire Trump's team, he is the most sane person. I don't like him as well because he betrayed lots of the things. Working on Donald Trump, lots of the values of freedom, of democracy. But after all, he has the experience. I wouldn't say that he's talented diplomat, but he's a competent one. And he was supported by majority. I think just one senator voted against him. Well, I may not be correct, that's what I remember. So Democrats also supported Marco Rubio to become a Secretary of State. I think he's the guy who is now really responsible, who puts the entire efforts not for Ukraine now, it's about Witkoff and Kushner, but Rubio put Venezuela outcome as his career outcome. So I think he is fully in resolving the issue without deploying fully American forces in Venezuela. And so far the initial stage went well for the United States. We'll see what it comes next, because the outcome of negotiations may resolve absolutely everything, and we'll see it in the coming days. Usually it doesn't take that much, and of course it wasn't played, as we already see, because Maduro definitely was delivered to the court, so it was not his escape from Venezuela to Russia or Minsk in Belarus, absolutely not. It was definitely a superb operation done by Delta Force and American military. They showed their capabilities, and other dictators, they understand it. And there are also the threats for Maduro's regime from Americans, like if you fail to negotiate with us, we're gonna do the same with you, like kidnap you. It's not a problem for us, as you saw. So definitely Delcy Rodriguez, she's concerned, because Donald Trump said that she will face even more harsh circumstances. And now she changed her rhetorics, but at the same time they announced some sort of the martial law system applied on oil infrastructure. I guess they're thinking what to do now, because the pressure from the United States on their regime is huge. And why do I also support this mission of the United States in Venezuela? Because I see how Venezuelans, they're happy. They're very cheerful about it. Those Venezuelans who were forced to leave their country under economy pressure, under, repressions applied by Maduro and previously by Hugo Chavez, now they're happy. They see that their country could change for better. There is the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light was started by the United States special military operation. If dictators are performing special military operations, why shouldn't be the democratic country tistless about it? I do support also the special military operations, in this case from democratic Western countries, but only against dictators, not against Greenland. That's important notice. Unfortunately, with Donald Trump, we don't have this safe, fail-safe system, yeah? He might start special military operation elsewhere, especially in the Western Hemisphere. That's what scares me a lot in that guy, because instead of stability without dictators, he might bring even more chaos. Even by occupying Greenland, he will not become dictator himself. He would just show that he is the fool by occupying Greenland. That is no-go scenario for a democratic country, absolutely. And it might again create instability. Also, I see that it seems like United States are also thinking what to do next after Maduro's special military operation went successful, of how to pressure the existing Venezuelan government. So they don't have, it seems like, the reliable plan. What is next? Donald Trump, what is next? Because on his press conference he mentioned that they will establish the control over Venezuela for some time, undefined period of time. But how? How can you do it without real boots on the ground, like massively, like in Iraq or elsewhere? In Afghanistan it was done temporary. What to do next? No one knows, I guess. Well, maybe Rubio knows something. Maybe he's doing those negotiations and we'll see the outcome very fast. Or maybe we should wait for one more kidnapping special military operation against other leaders of Venezuela government, and maybe after the second one they would agree to negotiate because they're afraid for their lives. And in those dictatorships, of course, elite is more focused on personal safety, personal income, profits. Yeah, that is about Donald Trump as well, but he's not a dictator. He's just not competent to be a dictator. Well, we'll see what it happens next. I hope that the region will remain stable and the United States will not deploy its forces to Venezuela. It's going to be a huge mistake because even this special military operation, it brought losses for Venezuelan military. Unfortunately, even some of the conscripts were killed. Around 40 people, from what I understood, analyzing the channels. Sadly, guys, but yeah. Oh, this is hilarious. You see this guy, Viktor Orban, before he praised the Venezuelan regime. He said that it's okay, Venezuela is great, it's our should be our ally. But now he says that United States intervention in Venezuela is good for energy markets, and in a way he supported the operation. Well, basically it's about his relations with Donald Trump. They're in a way allies. Yeah, we know that Hungary got the exemption from the Russian sanctions from Lukoil and the Rosneft. They continue to purchase some of the Russian oil, lots of the Russian oil actually. So of course now he would say that Maduro is bad, Trump is good, Trump is the best president, this operation is the best of the best in the world. What should you expect from this politician prostitute? Yeah, maybe this rule of force was always like that in our history, even after the Second World War, because Soviet Union, United States, they were already involved in multiple of the conflicts. For example, Soviets went to Afghanistan, United States went to Vietnam. Was it good? I don't think so. It was really bad. Even Iraq war was not okay. But it wasn't that crazy as it is right now, at least. I think Russia ruined this previous world order completely with its war in Ukraine. Yeah, of course, it was Russia with this full-scale aggression, you know, airplanes, tanks, everything except nuclear weapons flying to Ukraine. Even now, hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, everything. So, of course, this world order is no more. That's what I said in my video about Venezuela, what I think about everything of that. Well, in any case, I would support United States. I am not supporting Russia at all. I'm not supporting China. United States, yeah. If we speak about the rule of force, it's better United States than any other dictator country, of course. Because people in the United States, they're great. Yes, I know it personally because I have lots of the mates there and lots of the viewers from the United States are watching me. Thank you guys for it. And still, it is a democracy. Even under Donald Trump's ruling, it's a democracy. Yeah, so I wish all of the success for the United States. And Donald Trump, he'll be gone soon, so it's just temporary. Then there is the threat for allies of the United States from the United States. But it's not happening in real world right now. I mean, Greenland is not yet been annexed, and still there's some of the military presence of the United States in Europe. Still, Donald Trump says that they're gonna follow some of the obligations of NATO, at least openly he says about it. Yeah, the national strategy that he signed is terrible, but we'll see what it could be. Yeah? I don't believe that the United States will protect Europe deploying forces or launching nukes. No, but at least with military support they will help. Like it was at the beginning of the Second World War. Then the United States helped UK, even Soviet Union they helped. So I think that in case of Russian possible escalation towards Baltic states, I think the United States finally will help with military equipment, weapons, munition, but not with the boots on the ground, sadly. I do not expect it from Donny, of course, and Putin knows that. That's why Putin has this window for expanding his special military operation from Ukraine to NATO countries to check out the Article 5, which is not that great, I would say. The Article 5 has no obligation. May not help. Yeah, it's kind of risky, but we'll see. Still, I'm quite positive about everything. The main thing that Maduro is in a prison and Putin is damn scared. I'm sure that he is scared. He's concerned. Ayatollah regime is, ooh, what is happening? Yeah, that's the nice move, actually. And I hope that Venezuela will go to democracy as well. Yeah, finally. Without any sort of those cartel gangs. Yeah, we'll see, guys. Everything is so interesting in this year. It's just the beginning. Could this year be the end of many of the dictators in the world? I hope that the main one will gone in freezing Russia. Well, guys, saying so, I wish you all the best and ciao.